The fans clearly like you, and it was a really impressive turnout from them this afternoon. We had 16,000 of them. How much does their backing mean to you?
Yeah, no, it's great. It's a big confidence boost. They're really loud and they're just on you, and it's a great experience. They're really good.
Does Jonathan Russell deserves a spot in Jamaica men's national team? This is a topic of high concern, so make we have a talk and see what go on. Welcome on board yet again to Premier 7. I am your host, Ryan Nelson, coming to you today with a topic of concern as it relates to one of our own in Jonathan Russell. The topic is: does Jonathan Russell deserves a spot in Jamaica men's national team? I am somewhat sure that you guys can remember when Mr. Russell debuted against Mexico. He played excellent to me based on the fact that it was his first time representing the nation. But this is a topic that I will be discussing, and I hope that it will be one that will impress you, the fans. Apart from that, while I speak about Jonathan Russell, I am going to dive into his player profile by way of the transfer market and his strengths and his weaknesses by way of who scored in the form of details explaining the importance of why this player possibly deserves a spot in the national team. And of course, I just want to apologize to all those persons who are big followers of Premier 7. I know that some of you are wondering why is it that I am behind the scenes. I am having some issues with Flow. So, because Flow is giving me a lot of trouble, I have to find a way to cover the content because guess what? I have to present the news to you, the fans. And of course, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you are a watcher from a long time ago, continue to support by watching, liking, commenting, and sharing the content to other persons who will be interested. No, I just want to point something out to you before I get into the key details on Mr. Jonathan Russell. Jamaica has a big interest in having a top class midfielder. And in couple days, I spoke about one of the prime targets in why the incoming of Dujan Sterling will do wonders for Jamaica. This was a video that I covered and it received a lot of views. As you can see, 1,400 plus in 10 days, and of course, it received 49 likes and a few comments. I appreciate the support that you guys offered. And the thing is, when I spoke about Dujan Sterling, I was saying that he could be the right CDM for Jamaica, but some persons would be saying, well, he's a right back. He can play numerous positions. And because he can play numerous positions, why not think about one of our own that has played for the country before in Mr. Jonathan Russell? Jonathan Russell is a player that I believe can play in the DM role, even though mostly he is a center midfielder. So in that case, how about having a look on his profile and then his strengths and weaknesses as to how well this player is playing currently for Barnsley. So let's talk about the profile of Mr. Russell and see how important he can be for the Jamaica men's national team. All right, so Jonathan Russell, if you may not know, he's quite young. He's a youngster. He is currently age 23. That is quite impressive. He has won a trophy before in his career, and that shows that he have what it takes to receive rewards. Right now, you can see that Mr. Russell has appeared 31 times in League One for Barnsley, scoring 3 goals, no assists, but receiving some yellow cards. That will happen from your playing in the midfield. The greatest thing is that a reckless player, no red cards. So, starting 11, 50%, minutes covers 46%, goal participation 4%. What conclusion can I draw from this? Well, I can conclude to say that he plays in games, but he is substituted, as in he starts, or sometimes he comes from the bench. He's a player for which you can rely on when you need to close off a game because of what he possesses, the height, the strength, and the ability to intercept plays. And I'm going to go more into those details. But because I understand how Mr. Russell play, I can say it from the tip of my mouth about his importance. You can see that he hasn't covered much minutes. It boils on back to the same thing. He may start or he may not start. And he's a person that you want in your team because he can close off the game because he possesses the attributes that some players may not have. We know that Jamaica midfield is a midfield that is somewhat strange to watch because teams continues to bombard our midfield. Even though we performed well in recent times, our midfield isn't the strongest point on our side. And when we have a proper midfielder in the midfield to play alongside other players who have quality, then it will be harder for us to be broken down. So seeing that Mr. Russell can even contribute to goals, looking on his main position is that of being a central midfielder, as I've mentioned before. But then again, he can play defensive midfield or even attacking midfield. But for me, I would prefer for him to be on the defensive side or as a central midfielder. The thing is, Jamaica lacks CDMs, and if we may not receive a Dujon Sterling, then we have to make use of our own in Mr. John Russell because he has played for Jamaica before. He has scored in the one game that he played, and it shows that based on his natural ability to understand and read the game, he is a player for which we have to look carefully on. And if you don't believe what I'm saying here about the abilities that this man possesses, how about looking on this clip before I even speak more in regards to his strengths and his weaknesses? Let's have a look. So you can see for yourself that Mr. Russell may not be the fastest player, but he's a player that can read the game quite properly. He's good in the air because he's above 6 feet. He's a player who can make intricate passes to the front line, and he's a player that Jamaica can rely on in difficult position. As you can see, he knows how to turn himself out of traffic, create space for himself, and make opportunities for his teammates. Also is a player that you can understand to say that whenever he's on the pitch, he have his head watching the ball. He's not reckless. He's not rushed. He's a player who is calm and collective in big games because Mexico and the United States is the two biggest team in the CONCACAF region, and to be debuting against Mexico without even playing any sort of bad game, it shows that this guy, if he receive a lot more chances, he will do wondrous things for us because again, he's age 23. So let's assess him by way of his strengths and his weaknesses. All right, so for Mr. Russell, playing for Barnsley, who is currently sixth in the League One table, I just want to speak about what is important in regards to his statistics. So, as you can see here, based on his player position, he can play the DM role and he can play the central midfield role. So, if Jamaica wants to make some tactical changes, and want to play him in a DM role, fine. If you want to play him in a central midfield role, fine. That shows that he has the ability to adapt to different positions that a coach can accept from him. So, the strengths of Mr. Russell: aerial duels, strong; passing, strong; dribbling, strong; ball interception, strong. Jamaica have players who have height and they can clear the ball, but just imagine having an additional player who can read the play properly when opposition teams are taking set pieces, indirect free kicks, direct free kicks. This guy is a man that you can rely on to clear the ball. Suppose Jamaica is leading a game 1 or 2-0 and the opposition team score. In the 9th minute, this guy can come up with a play that can save Jamaica from conceding a goal. Passing wise, Jamaica is known for hitting on the counter at times and playing long ball. As you can see, Jamaica is a team that has players who have pace, like a Demarai Gray, Shamar Nicholson, a Leon Bailey, or even a Bobby Reed. So if you have a player like Russell who is playing deep line and he gets himself out of a tight spot, he will have his head looking up, scanning where he can pass the ball to. He will find a Bailey. He will find a Nicholson. He will find a Reed because he have that distribution ability. Not to say all of his passes will be on point, but remember, one of his strengths is that of passing. He can dribble. That is something that Jamaican fans should be happy to be hearing, because when a player is engaged in dribbling capabilities, it shows that Jamaica can play more of a position ball game, pass the ball, find themselves in different positions in tight spaces or in spaces for which opposition teams would not recognize. Because if you're going to rely on playing long balls only, then what the opposition team is going to do is to keep a higher line so you can have a so that they can have a defensive line. And if you hit them on the break and they take the ball from you, you're out of position, they can counter you, they can score. So having a person like Mr. Russell who can intercept the ball properly and dribbles quite well, he will be that person to make ways for our front line to have more chances to score goals. Then again, his style of play, he likes to play short passes, commits fouls quite often, but depending on where he commits a foul, because there are times when you have to commit a foul. But the fact that this guy is a position-based player, I think that is what Coach Al Grimson would love to have in his team. But I'm not seeing him playing many games for the national team, and I am somewhat wondered because Jamaica is going to play in the Copa America shortly, and then the World Cup qualifiers coming thereafter. We have to take into our thought the importance of a player like Mr. Jonathan Russell. And I leave the question with you once more. Does Jonathan Russell deserve a spot in Jamaica men's national team? I have shared my point. For me personally, I think he does because of all of the key points that I have shared, and there's no significant weaknesses that was being observed or shown from who scored. So, Jamaican fans, what do you think about this player? Do you think that Coach Al Grimson and his technical staffs and others should think about this guy, put him in the team, start him somewhat, not start him, but ensure they have him in the squad, possibly for an emergency player? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. As you know, I am an unbiased analyst of the game. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section because I'll be willing to listen to whatever you have to say. Take care and goodbye for now.